Welcome back, Shalligators. Today we are going to do a deep dive into the HBO Max series The Idol, starring Lily Rose Depp and The WEEKND. The WEEKND. Because look, the show is not amazing. It's not, I like it. It's fine because I'm trashy and I like trashy things and I like slutty things and, you know, just, yeah. But we're not just going to talk about this because, like, who cares, right? We're going to talk about what to do when you have been dickmatized, because the whole plot of this show is that Lily Rose is a pop star, like a sort of a Britney Spearsy pop star trying to rebuild her career after like a psychotic break, basically, and gets ensnared in the clutches of The WEEKND, who is like this club owner but also a cult leader, and it's like very sexual, and he's like basically woven this crazy sexual spell around her. And it's easy to watch that and be like, that's crazy. Girls, we've been there. Because my takeaway from this show, and like I said, we're going to break it down, we're going to talk about it. My takeaway from the show is The WEEKND is not attractive. I mean, she is like a stunner. And I'm like, really? Him? And I think that pisses me off because I want this to be someone like hot and sexy. Like if we have to like see this, like these like bad sex scenes, which by the way, so far there is no actual sex. Have you noticed that? There's no sex. It's weird. There's like, it like cuts around it. It's like before and then after, and she's naked. He's got his shirt buttoned all the way up and you're like, huh? It's very weird. But I feel like that's almost kind of the magic, is you have this like, I'm sorry, dumpy dude who I don't think any of us are like, God, I can't wait for his naked scene. I'm sorry, but like, and then this hot girl and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And everyone around her is kind of saying that too. They're like, him? Really? And again, we can say that's crazy. That's so unrealistic. And then we look at our Snapchat and then we look at our inbox and then we sit there and we think about who we miss and we're crying over and who we're subtweeting for. And it seems a little less fucking crazy. So we're going to talk about how to break out of these dynamics where you're like addicted to the sex or the chemistry. Is that actually what you're addicted to? And can you change it? We're going to break it all down. But before we do, just want to remind you guys to donate to the charity we're featuring lately. It's called Whispering Willows. It's basically a dog rescue that takes senior dogs out of shelters who have no chance of getting adopted and are probably on the euthanization list, and so that they can live out their days in this like beautiful little hospice. And so even $5, $10 goes a really long way. That can feed a dog for a week. And so I'm going to put the links down there, but you can Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, donate directly. They're a wonderful organization. And if you do donate, just drop it in the comments because I always like to see what you guys are doing. And I have no affiliation with them. I literally just heard about them and did a whole bunch of research, and they're like so adorable. They're just like a nice family who's doing this. So we can help them and we can help save some precious dogs. Let's talk about other things that might need help, because, you know, every so often we do our like little, I don't want to say like our political talks, but our like social talks. It's like, what's going on in the world? And last time we had a lot of good news about like the ozone layer closing. Today, because this is stuff like my mom sends me, the Nadine News Network, this one's kind of weird. And it's something we don't think about because it's not Victorian England. Child labor. Like kids in the workforce. We're like, I think we've kind of slayed that dragon. You would think that, but that's actually not true. Okay, so check this, right? Child labor violations have been on the rise since 2015. And right now, 10 states are trying to loosen child labor laws. So one of the things they're trying to do is get kids as young as 14 to serve alcohol. And you think like, all right, you know, what's so wrong with that? The family might need money. It's good to give a child structure. It's better than them sitting home like gaming all summer long, right? But then when you think about serving alcohol, like, I don't know if you have worked in a restaurant. I have, and it was all Adderall and shots. We're just like scumbags working in a fucking restaurant. Like everyone's like hooking up with each other. It was barely a place for a college student, let alone like a 14-year-old. Here's some other stuff. Minnesota and Iowa are they introduced a bill that would allow teenagers to work in construction and meat packing plants. Iowa wants to let people under 16 drive themselves to work and then extend the hours that teenagers can work. Ohio is trying to let teenagers like 14, 15-year-olds work until 9 p.m. during the school year. What you can do about it is like tweet, tag, text, email your representative and be like, I don't think that this is right. So if you live in some of these states, Ohio, Minnesota, Iowa is like a real big thing, even New Jersey, or even if you don't, just keep an eye on something like this and look at like laws that are coming up and just think about it. And tell me in the comments, like, what do you think? Did you start work super young? Do you think it was a good thing for you? Do you think it was a bad thing? You know, I always want to know what you guys have to say. Okay, let's talk The Idol. So this show, people are like outraged, and like dragging The WEEKND. By the way, I had a photo shoot today, so I had a little like fake beauty mark. It was a boudoir thing. What if I just tattooed that on? And my bangs are testing my fucking patience. Yeah, the WEEKND is being dragged. It's like, how could you, it's like torture porn. It's like rape porn. I don't know. I think it's just like trashy and slutty. I don't think the sex looks good, but it's a fucking TV show, dude. And it's what always strikes me when people like dragging The WEEKND. Are you aware this person is an actor? He is acting. This is perhaps not what he does. This is acting. That's the point. I must segue for a moment and talk about Elliot Page, nay Ellen Page, who I've said in my video about the rudest celebs I've interviewed was like number one. She was such a fucking little bitch. She was so entitled and she was like, and I was literally asking her about like, did you like shooting in Vancouver? Like I was asking her, because I was a celebrity journalist, that's my background. Like softball things about whatever the project was, nothing remotely incendiary. I was working for a newspaper at the time, so we weren't doing like, like tabloid stuff, not at all. It might have even been for Glamour magazine, which is like even more warm and fuzzy. And she was so unprofessional. And now it's a he. And so all he's talking about is how trans he is. Like, great, all right, whatever, do whatever you want, dude. But now it's his whole personality. And all he's talking about is all the people who harassed him and this. And what stuck out to me is when he was like, I turned down a feminine role because I would kill myself if I had to wear feminine clothes. You're an actor. Do you need a refresher on what actors do? I've got news for you, bro. Arnold Schwarzenegger, not actually a murderous robot from the future. I know. Kate Winslet, she wasn't even born when the Titanic sunk. Halle or Chloe, the chick who's in Little Mermaid. You ready to mind blow? That bitch has feet. Fakes. Who can you trust? I'm just like, this is literally your job. Tell me how unprofessional you are. Please, tell me how incredibly unprofessional you are that you can't go to work and put on a uniform and get paid millions of dollars. You ever walk into fucking Staples? You see what those assholes have to wear? It's awful. And they're not getting millions of dollars. You think they love those outfits? You think that's completely authentic to them? It is a job. And it just blows my mind when celebrities can't seem to grasp this, and even more so when audiences can't. So the indictments of The Idol, I'm like, oh God, if you don't like it, if you don't like those sex scenes, don't watch it. And if it triggers you, don't watch it. Some things trigger me that don't trigger anyone else. I just don't consume or interact with those things. It's like a peanut allergy. I don't have a peanut allergy. I understand some people do, so they should steer clear of peanuts. But don't tell me that I'm not allowed to have peanut butter. That's your issue, man. That's not mine. So don't come into my lane. I'm not going to come into yours. So when people are like, cancel the show, grow up, dude, bro, grow up. It's setting a bad example. Have you heard of two words called Pornhub? Whatever this show is doing to ruin men, the men who are capable of being ruined by a TV show aren't watching TV. They're so far deep down these awful, like actual porns that aren't fake, that aren't cutting around the sex, that are like fish hooking women and spitting in their mouths and doing horrible things. They're a TV show. Please, child's play. So stop, when people have like criticism of this, it's like, stop acting like you're doing something noble, trying to take this off the air. But the whole plot is, Lily Rose, I feel like the show should be called People Lighting Cigarettes. Everything. I need another one. It's just like Sigfest 23. I hate cigarettes. I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. I've done my body weight in Coke. I'm not like an angel, but I'm not, because I could see like the point of like, drugs. Cigarettes. Ugh. So the plot is Lily Rose is a pop star, and she goes to a club one night, and somehow she's the most famous pop star in the world, and yet she's at this club and no one's bothering her, and she doesn't have a private table. Okay, no bodyguards, nothing like that. And the WEEKND gets on a microphone, is like, oh my God, is that Jocelyn? I have some issues with the fact that her pop star name is Jocelyn. I just feel like that's kind of an older person's name. Do you know what I mean? Like, my mom has 3 friends named Jocelyn. I don't know. Anyway, names like kind of, they get under my skin. You could name a character whatever you want. Anyway, he's like announcing that she's here at the club, and she's not swarmed. She's like, I think if you announced that like any huge celebrity was at a club and they had no bodyguards or no safe place, they would be like doing a mad dash, or they get torn limb from limb. So there's some issues with like realism. Also, Hank Azaria, who I love, I don't know what that accent's supposed to be. Spanish? Is that what we're led to believe? I think he's a great actor, but you could have just maybe hired a Spanish dude. I think Hailey Baldwin is kind of nailing the accent more than Hank. It just upsets me. So I think the show is like funny and campy and gives this like very interesting insight into the world of like, pop stars. It's like everyone is pushing her to do things that are not great for her, and they don't give a fuck about her, like really about her well-being. And then this dude comes along, and the WEEKND, and they like finger fuck in a stairway or something like that. And she's like, I just think you're an asshole enough to like tell me the truth about things. What are you basing that on, girl? What are you basing that on? It's all just, it moves very fast and very slow at the same time. And I haven't seen this plot point yet, but I guess he's like a cult leader. I don't know if the show develops into that, or we're just automatically exposed to know that because he like tells her to like put her fingers in her throat while she's like doing stuff. My only indictment of this show is, where are the wieners? Where are ever the wieners? Why do we keep wieners under lock and key for actors? Titties be out. But wieners, it's a mystery. Did you ever watch that show? It was called Hung, right? It was about a dude with a huge dick who is down on his luck and becomes like a gigolo. It was actually very bad. Guess what you never see? That's right, his dick. You never see it like once. Not that I can remember. And when it kind of dawned on me I was never going to see this dick, I was like, screw this stupid show. And because if there was a show about just a girl with huge tits, and that was the whole premise of the show, you'd see her tits. Like, why are wieners like, you can never see a weenus? When I think of feminism and the feminist revolution and equality, we've come a long way. We haven't. I want some equality there. I want to be judging men by their wieners. Okay? It pisses me off. I don't know that I want to see the weekends, though. I don't know that I want to see him naked at all. Do you think he's hot? He's got these veneers that are really creeping me out. Like, I think I have to stop watching the show because he creeps me out. And it's not his character. Like, unfortunately, it is kind of the himness of it. Incredibly talented guy. Nice guy. So let's get into it. Dickmatization. It's like hypnotize, but dickmatize, you know? If you're not a native English speaker, you're probably like, what is this word? I know. It happens to the best of us. Is there anything worse than getting all twisted over an ugly guy? But listen, we're going to talk about all sorts of stigmatization. And so maybe this is going to be like you have an issue and he's ugly and you're like, why? Or maybe it doesn't even matter. If he's hot, it doesn't matter. The point is, what he is above ugly or hot or whatever is he sucks, right? That's why you're watching this video, is because whoever has like dick whipped you sucks. If he was a great guy, who cares if he's ugly? He's great. You love him. Great. Everybody's happy. But that's not the situation if you've watched this video this long. It's that you are down bad over the chemistry with someone who is bad. So bad. A few things are going on here, all right? First and foremost, hormones. Hormones. When you have sex, you are releasing a hormone, oxytocin, that is literally, not Oxycontin, different, that is the bonding hormone. Do you know what primarily releases this? Two things, your nipples and orgasms, okay? Keep a man away from your nipples if you're just trying to have a good time. Wait, why? Are you being serious? I'm being perfectly serious. When is a bonding hormone very necessary to human existence? When someone has a baby? You kind of need to keep that little thing alive. And so breastfeeding stimulates this bonding hormone and it's released. You get a big flood of it when you give birth. Then breastfeeding continues. You know, it keeps it up. It keeps everybody keeping everybody else alive. So keep a man away from your nipples because your body doesn't always know who be out there. Orgasms do this too. And, oh God, it's almost better if a guy's bad in bed because then you're like, well, no bonding hormones here. There's a lot of other hormones and chemicals that come into play. Testosterone and estrogen. I mean, my friend and I always call each other egg sluts because when we're ovulating, we're just like, look at that guy picking up trash by the side of the highway. Yeah. We are just slutty. I recommend downloading an app called Hormonology. This isn't like an ad, it's just an app that I use. But it's basically your hormone horoscope. Like you put in your stats of like when you get your period and everything, and it tells you day by day how your mood and everything is affected based on where you are in your cycle. It's just fascinating because I don't make those connections outside of like my egg slut time and like PMS or whatever. But it's like, oh, don't make any impulse purchases right now. Your estrogen is high and that means you're more optimistic about things. I'm like, what? It's kind of mind-blowing. Hormonology. You might like it. Or if there's another one you like, tell me in the comments because I love this shit. I always just like making connections. So that affects it. Dopamine affects your bonding. But listen, if you keep going back to someone, if this has been like a long thing, you're out of that initial falling in love zone, right? And you're probably telling yourself that you go back because the sex is so good. I think for guys, this can be true. Like, sex is sex is sex, right? They can separate love and sex. They can just be like, she's not cute, she's fucking insane, she gives the best blowjobs I've ever had. I'm gonna keep going. Girls, less likely to do that. A little bit less likely to do that. I believe that the things we crave from sex are deeper than that. What we're craving much of the time is intimacy. And that's very different. We use these terms interchangeably. Ooh, when I'm intimate with my wife, like, bleh, it's like a disgusting word. It's up there with moist. I hate it. What I think, we know what intimacy is. It's a true deep bonding and understanding. And we as women, we're hardwired to bond. So we have sex and you're looking in someone's eyes, and how do we tell ourselves that this is an intimacy? This man is inside me. There's bodily fluids going back and forth. He's looking in my eyes, his hands in my hair, his mouth is on my neck, like we're saying dirty things to each other. If this is not intimacy, what on earth is? That's where it gets tough. Because if you're asking yourself that, you probably legitimately don't know. Intimacy is, I've had a really bad day and I'm gonna cry and I'm gonna ugly cry and I'm going to feel stupid telling you about this problem, and you're not gonna make me feel stupid. You're gonna look me in the eye and you're gonna sit there and you're gonna have my hands in yours and you're gonna listen to me and you're gonna offer solutions. That's intimacy. I'm gonna tell you about a hard time in my life. I'm gonna tell you a secret and you're gonna receive it. And you're gonna tell me something. That is intimacy. That's best friend shit, right? And I don't think most of us sleep with our best friends. And when we crave that intimacy, we're willing to see it wherever we think we can. We're all fools in love, right? And we're certainly all fools in lust. Oh, there's my neighbor. Is she pregnant? She's a real dork. So she's kind of a dork baby. How can we get that intimacy? Because when we have good sex with someone, again, we want to believe that we're creating this intimacy. And then as soon as it's over, he's pulling up his pants and he's leaving and you won't hear from him for a long time. And you're like, how is this possible? Because we had this amazing time. We had what I believed was incredible intimacy. Some people are just locked doors. You know what I mean? Some people, that's as much intimacy as either they're willing to give or that they're capable of giving. And these things, which are markers of intimacy to us, are not to them. Here's an exercise that you can do. You might not love it, but it is going to be illuminating. But listen, you have to be in a place where you're ready to see what the answers are. And I say all the time, the questions I get from you guys, 99% of the time, it's not, I didn't see this coming, I didn't know. It's, the writing was on the wall and I chose not to read it. I had many chances to read it, to have it read to me, and I didn't want to because I wasn't strong enough. And you know what? Seeing is believing. And then you have the burden of doing something about it when you're presented with the truth. So here's a simple exercise you can do to foster intimacy with a dude you're sleeping with, or to ferret out whether or not that's even possible with him. You're laying there before or after sex at some point. You're not having sex. There is not this. You ask him, tell me a secret. A secret? Like about what? However you define a secret, whatever you think. And see what he does. See what he says. No. His secret might be like, I don't know, like I took a pen from Rite Aid when I was like 6 or whatever. Okay. Here's the thing. Does he ask you this question in reverse? Is he just as interested in your secret? Is he like, no, you tell me something? If he doesn't, if his secret is either bullshit or shallow, or he refuses to respond, and he doesn't ask this reciprocally with interest from you, don't volunteer it. I'm afraid that is your answer. I'm afraid that's your answer. I know. I know, girl, I know. You don't want to know. You don't want to know. But do you want to keep sleeping with someone who isn't really that serious about you? Do you want to keep telling yourself that it's the orgasm, it's the sex, it's the intensity that I love, when that's actually not what you love and that's not what you're seeking? And you can have sex with him 8 hours a day. What you're craving is the intimacy. Okay? And maybe what we should do is, before we sleep with someone, date number 3 or something, ask them, tell me a secret. It doesn't have to be like, tell me a secret. It doesn't have to be intense. It can be cheeky. And I always say, like, however you define it. And they're like, well, like secret that I've never told anyone, or like something that you don't know. And I'm like, whatever you think, whatever. It's up to you, because I want to see how they define that. I want to see how, are they like, here's my secret. This is my Twitter handle. That's not a fucking secret, you know? Or it's like, hey, my secret is I was bullied in high school and my friends I went to high school with know this, but most people now in my life don't. That to me counts, because that's showing vulnerability. That's demonstrating I'm opening up to you. I am giving you this precious thing and I want to see what you do with it, how you manage it. Okay? And then you can reciprocate, and you need to see how he manages that. But I warn you, if you don't know if you can trust this man emotionally, give him a decoy secret. I was a cutter. No, you weren't. Doesn't matter. Fucking tell him. Use mine. I was a cutter. Say, well, my name is Shallon Lester. I'm a YouTuber and I was a cutter. Like, you can say that. See how he manages that. But what if he doesn't manage it well? And what if this secret thing is, yeah, here's my Twitter handle. I almost named my dog Blue. Okay. Thanks, Jeff. And then you realize that this person is not giving you what you need. No man has cornered the market on an emotion. They don't have a monopoly. Whoever the fuck this guy is does not have a monopoly on fill in the blank. Whatever it is you are seeking from a person, from life, from yourself, this motherfucker is not the only place you can get it. I promise you. Do you know how you know? I've slept with a ton of people. That's how I know. I've dated a lot. I've fallen in love a lot. I can't believe I've only been married once. I am about due for my next husband, I think. He is not the only gateway to this. The only person who is telling you that is actually you. The only person who is laboring under that delusion is you. You alone are giving yourself this message. He probably isn't. He probably isn't. Now, in the show The Idol, I think that's where it's going to go. I think he will cultify her and be like, only I alone am the way home. I alone am the gateway into That's what a cult is. It's like, it's me, 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 me. It's not even Jesus. It's me. It's me, actually. I don't think that this guy is probably saying that to you. You are saying this to you. I can't start over. We've come this far. I know if we just work a little harder, we can make it work. What if you took a radically different stance and said, everything this man gives me is 100% replicable. 100%. And if anything, I could replicate what he's giving me and get more. I could get more. Yeah, I could have 5 orgasms in a night with someone who stays the night. And they kiss me on the forehead in the morning. And they ask me how I want my coffee. Baby, you lay in bed. I'm going to go make it. What you're telling yourself is, that's not possible. What you need to ask yourself is, why do I think that? Why do I think that's not possible? I can tell you. Because you probably haven't experienced it. Girl, I get it. Dude, I get it. I get it. I get it. When we do our manifestation classes with Laura St. John, I don't know if you guys are, please follow her. She's incredible. I say this all the time, but like, she does more for me in an hour than a year of therapy will do. I was in my therapist's office the other day and I was just like, Laura would know exactly what to say in this situation. You're not moving the needle for me, and she moves the needle immensely. But one thing we tackle in there is, how do you manifest something that you've never experienced? You want this amazing job. Well, I've been broke my whole life. I want to be in a bikini. I've always been fat. I'm ready to find my soulmate. That's funny. I've been looking for 30 fucking years and I haven't yet. So your data brain is constantly in this, but actually, because what is your brain? It's a risk machine. It's trying to tell you outcomes to ameliorate risk. Even if those outcomes are bad, it wants to know what they are. It would rather be ready for a bad outcome than not be ready for a good one. And so Laura's advice is always shift. If you cannot visualize this positive outcome, and I get it, it's very hard for me. I would love to be happily married. I don't know what that's like. That's tough. What she tells you to do is just shift into something that you do conceptualize that makes you happy. Either, okay, I can't envision being in a super happy marriage. Can I envision being in a super happy conversation with a guy? Yes. Yes, I can. Can I visualize being cuddled up with a guy? Yeah. Yeah, I can. And your brain's going to be like, oh, but you can't imagine all of it. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, brain. Shut the fuck up. You just stay there. Just stay right there. That's your zone. Cuddled up, happy conversation. Great. Great. You're going to inhabit that. You're going to feel it. You're going to get in that vibration. And then when your brain is ready, boop, you're going to step it up just a little. Just a little. Okay. Can I envision a guy making my coffee? No. Okay. All right. Can I envision a guy getting up and taking my dog out? Yeah. Okay. And you're just going to build on this, and it's going to be slow and steady, and that's all right, okay? Or if you truly don't have any data for something, which again, I completely understand, you're just going to shift into something that does make you happy, okay? I can't imagine feeling super stable and super happy with a boy, but I do have an amazing best friend that I've had since 8th grade, and she's stable and makes me happy. So every time I want to imagine this amazing relationship, I'm just going to think about Beth, and I'm going to think about what a great relationship we have, and how, okay, maybe I don't have a template with a guy, but I have a template with someone. We're going to shift into that vibration. I'm telling you, follow her, sign up for her free classes and workshops. They're incredible. You won't be sorry. Laura St. John. You can find the links down below. But that is a way to get these needs met without this motherfucker, without this dumpy motherfucker. But let's say what you're looking for isn't intimacy. I mean, Bitch, we're all looking for intimacy. No one's like, oh no, I don't want someone who loves me. But sometimes in your life, the thing that is alluring to you is intensity. Now, I lived my entire 20s like this. I was an emo kid and a cutter. Okay. I was all about intensity. Like, I wanted to feel everything that I could. I wanted to feel everything. And I remember thinking at the time, I was doing a lot of coke. Not a lot, but an Adderall. I was just like uppers. I was exhausted. And I remember looking at people who would smoke weed and take Xanax and stuff. And I was like, what? Why do you want to dull your emotions out? I want to feel every emotion. I've waited my whole life to feel things and experience things. I want more. I want hypercolor, technicolor, You know, and of course you flame out on that for sure. But when I look back on what was fueling that desire for intensity, I mean, this gets deep. I felt like I was behind in my life. When my father died when I was 22, I lost time, as one does when a catastrophe hits you. And I could feel myself sort of fossilizing and petrifying at that age. I've said all the time, like people are arrested at the age at which a trauma happens, you know, in your formative years, before your frontal lobe closes and all that. Justin Bieber, 16 when he got famous, right? 15, 16, right? Britney Spears, Miley, like all these people, there's a lot of that teenageness still rambling around. I'm stuck at 22. One of you guys said one time, and it was the funniest comment ever. She's like, you kind of won the trauma lottery. 22 is an incredible age. She's not wrong. That's why for so long I dated 23-year-olds. I felt comfortable there. You know, like I got older, my trauma stayed the same age. And so because I felt like I lost this time, like years mourning and dealing with things, that when I finally got myself going in New York City, like a year and a half later, I always felt behind. I was a 24-year-old unpaid intern. Everyone else was 18. And I was just running. And I'm like, I have to gobble up all of these feelings. And I also had hated college. It was boring. I was in this conservative town, this farm town. Ironically, it's a town almost exactly where I live now. But when I was 18, I just wanted to like live and break out and try things and cut my hair all weird. And I didn't go to that kind of school. And so I just felt stifled, and I had felt stifled when I was a child. And so by the time I finally got out there and spread my wings in the big city, there just weren't enough hours in the day. There weren't enough intense situations. There was just not enoughness. I just wanted to eat life. And so I gravitated towards these intense sexual relationships. Toxic, hit me in the face, daddy, choke me, pull my hair, let's cut each other. Because I always felt behind. And when I finally got the message through some therapy, through all this stuff, that life unfolds at the pace it's supposed to. Now, I know that sounds woo-woo, and I know that sounds like a thought-ending cliche, thought-ending cliches are things like, it is what it is, or it's God's plan, that are designed to just stop a thought loop. Well, God's plan, I don't know, thought ending, bye. I know it sounds like that. And maybe it is, but sometimes thought loops need to end. Sometimes a thought has to stop because there's no such thing as what might have been. There is no life for me where my father's alive. There's no path that could have been. It's not. And to stay in that place, chasing this intensity to recoup something you lost, something you're behind on, only traumatizes you more. It only actually steals more from you because what you're creating is more noise. Noise that's intended to drown out regret. And so much of the time, the thing we regret isn't even something we fucking did, dude. Like, I didn't kill my father. I chose my college, yeah, but like, the hell did I know, you know? I was always just doing the best that I could. We all are. So once I learned that, listen, my path is ideal for me. Do I wish it was different? Yeah, but hey, thought-ending cliche. That's not the reality of it. I need to be happy with where I am and grateful. And I need to understand that it's unfolding exactly the way it was meant to. Why? I don't know. But it's not my job to try to undo it. It's my job to answer that I don't know. Why did this happen? What have I learned from this? What's the silver lining? What's the blessing? What's the set up from the setback? And again, all this sounds very live, laugh, love. You're goddamn right. I live and I laugh and I love. And my life is great because I ask myself these like TJ Maxx wooden sign type questions. What am I doing here? Why did this happen to me? What am I supposed to see? Because we can't change what happened, but we can change what it means. And when we decide, when we don't want to do that, when it seems too stupid or like it won't even work, right? Or maybe it'll work too well and it's just too much to even comprehend. And when we shift into these toxic vices, whether it's intense sex with a fuckboy over and over and over again, alcohol, drinking, cigarettes, coke, Adderall, cutting, when we do that, we ironically rob ourselves of the ability to get what we actually might need. And maybe if I had looked back and been like, enough, what do you need? Like, yeah, I did want to go to the big city and lap it up and go crazy for sure. But what I also wanted was to drown out that sense of I'm behind. And had I been more brave, I could have been like, all right, let's be a little bit more strategic about how we move through the corporate ladder then. Okay, you feel like you're behind? Let's not keep dating complete assholes. Let's not have friends who contribute nothing to our lives. Let's go to the gym. But I only was viewing one thing. No. Let's have really intense. Let's have like fun, intense sex and do drugs. All right, that's not the middle path. And that's the path that we are all about walking here. But look. Maybe you don't have some weird thing that's fueling your need for intensity. Maybe you just like intensity. Okay, that's fine. How can we get it that doesn't involve this man? Because remember, what does he have? Fucking nothing, girl. He does not have a monopoly on this. He alone is not the gateway, the gatekeeper to this feeling, to the intensity, to the connection, to the whatever it is. How can you go and import intensity into your life? I mean, you could make it very literal, go skydiving, get a motorcycle. Or maybe what you're looking for is the feeling of satisfaction, is the climb. That's what I've always loved in my life. The goals are great and we want to achieve our goals and we want what that thing is that we're striving towards. But like Miley says, it really is the climb. That is where you get the feeling of intensity. That is where, because it's highs and lows. Climbs aren't linear. Even if you climb up a mountain, if you look at any climber's path up a mountain, there's like switchbacks and they go down, they have to go up and around. It's not like it's not a cable car, okay? It isn't. But it's those little micro failures where you get back up again that you're like, that's where the intensity comes in. And therefore, that's where the happiness, that's where the proof that I can handle this intensity. I can not just handle it, I can learn to ride this wave. That's when you're going to start to scratch that itch. And then once you're doing all that you can in the rest of your life, if you want to have some intense sex, girl, get it. Get that dick. Catch as many as you want. Catch 2 at a time. I don't care. But you're going to be able to compartmentalize it. And you're not going to be dickmatized. You're going to be like, I like it. But I also like getting up early and like running an extra mile than I normally do. I love that shit. I love my CrossFit. I love like staying up late and working on that book, one more chapter. I can do this. You're going to get that. It's not going to feel 100% as intense at like 6 hours of like sex, right? But if you spread it out, it actually kind of all does equal that level. You're not an addict. What you are is someone who is not acknowledging what you're truly trying to get out of the situation. Take a few minutes, let your brain speak it to you, and then make a plan to get that in some way without this guy or a different guy. Just imagine for a moment that there's no more dudes. I mean, everyone's chopping their dicks off and changing their gender anyway, so it might not be too far off. Imagine that you had no choice but to scratch this itch without a man. How could you do it? What would you tell me to do? What would you tell a friend to do? I can see why you like this scenario. I can see why you like this dynamic with him. What you're actually after, that's what it is. In the show, The Idol, What Jocelyn is actually after is trusting herself. I don't like this song. I think it's stupid. I don't want people to make fun of me. What she's actually after is to feel bulletproof, is to feel resilient. But instead of working to give that to herself, which is difficult, she's going to offload this to the Weeknd, and the penis we'll never see, and let him be her sword and shield. Yeah, that seems great at the time, but then they own you. And it's a lot better in the long run to own yourself. Tell me what you think about the show. Is it bad? Do you like it? Are you like, oh, it's so bad? Do you not care? Do you watch it? And tell me, when you have been in these dickmatized situations, what actually was it? What were you truly craving? I'll see you later, Shalligators. Like I said, donate to Whispering Willows. It's a wonderful little organization. Even $5 helps, make a puppy's life a little bit better. I love them, and I love you guys too.